The US president was on his Marine One helicopter flying to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in Busan, South Korea. You would expect him to be busy, but he took the time to make a big announcement with bigger implications. The United States is going to start testing nuclear weapons. There is nothing we know more than this single line. Why has the US decided to resume testing? Is Trump talking about small explosives or nuclear-capable missiles? And how big are Russia and China's arsenals? I'm Ananya Datta. Let's get started. Just 9 countries in the world have nuclear weapons. And the only country, United States, has ever used them in war when it bombed the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. The horrors of the bombings did not stop countries from testing their nuclear arsenal. The Soviet Union shocked the West by detonating its first nuclear bomb just 4 years later in August of 1949. In fact, over 2,000 nuclear tests were carried out worldwide. 1,032 of them by the United States, more than any country on record in history. The Soviets came in second place with 715 tests, Britain carried out 45 tests, France 210, and China 45. This meant that the West was testing in the Pacific and Soviets testing in the Arctic. Each was building enough nuclear weapons to destroy the planet over and over again. Concerns started to mount about its impact, above ground, underground, and underwater, on human health and the environment. And the Cuban Missile Crisis forced the world to the realities of a nuclear war. Then between 1996 and 1970, 2 treaties were signed. One bans the blast, the other controls the bomb. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty bans all nuclear explosions, military or peaceful. But some key nations like the US, China, India, and Pakistan haven't formally agreed to it. The Non-Proliferation Treaty goes further. It decides who gets to have nuclear weapons and who doesn't. There are 5 nuclear powers mainly: the US, Russia, China, France, and the UK. Other countries like India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea possess nuclear weapons but haven't signed the treaty. By the end of the Cold War, the United States outgunned everyone. They had decades of design data and did not need any more detonations to be sure that its bombs were working. They voluntarily stopped testing in the year 1992, 33 years ago, and now they're going to restart.
It had to do with others. They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
So the question we are asking today is the global nuclear order at risk? Well, the main reason any country would want to restart testing is to gather information or to send a signal. You see, tests provide evidence of what any new nuclear weapon can do and whether older weapons still work. But Trump has made it utterly clear why he's restarting the testing. He says he hates that he has to do it but has no choice because Russia is second and China is a distant third. You see, Russia inherited almost all of nuclear weapons from the Soviets, which made it easily the closest to the US. If you look at the figures of the Federation of American Scientists, it says that Russia has 282 more nuclear weapons than the United States in this year. In fact, Putin has publicly flexed his nuclear muscles with the test of a new Burevestnik cruise missile just on October 21st. Now, this missile is often called the Flying Chernobyl. It has also launched nuclear drills on October 22nd. Russia also successfully tested a Poseidon nuclear-powered super torpedo that military analysts say is capable of devastating coastal regions. But the country has never tested a nuclear warhead, something we are not sure if the US plans to do.
we're not forgetting about improving and strengthening our strategic potential. You've probably heard that a new, unlimited-range, nuclear-powered Burevestnik missile was recently tested. It has undeniable advantages. We can be proud of the achievements of our scientists, specialists, and engineers.
The Russian president has repeatedly warned that if Washington resumes nuclear testing, Moscow will too. China is at a distant third with just 600 warheads, but the country has managed to double its nuclear arsenal in the span of 5 years. And this is according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a Washington-based think tank. The same organization predicts that China will have over 1,000 nuclear weapons by the year 2030. In fact, in this year's Victory Day parade in September, it revealed 5 nuclear capabilities that can reach the United States. So it's quite clear that the nuclear race is already underway.
Well, I hope we'll never have a nuclear war. And if we see it being used, we probably won't be around afterwards to talk about it. But the point of the system is to defeat missile defenses like Golden Dome. So what I guess I would emphasize to people is don't think about necessarily the day after this gets used, because we won't be here. But we are all going to have to live with the arms race that we're seeing, which is both the United States and Russia investing heavily in new offensive systems and defenses. And this is going to be a constant back and forth that's going to cost, trillions of dollars.
The United States is resuming its nuclear tests, but the what and how remains deliberately vague. But this is not the 1960s. The Russians don't need Cuba to get close to the American soil. The US, Russia, and China are able enough to strike targets across oceans without moving an inch. And then, of course, there's North Korea, the wild card no one can predict. Kim Jong-un, who's often called the Rocket Man, has already helped Russia with his men in the war against Ukraine. Who knows if he's willing to send nukes in the next war? So very dark times ahead, but with that we're wrapping up this episode of Grey Zone. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you would want to watch next.